Artois by Alice Hungerford. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgate Novelist. All that I am is thine, my body, my heart, my soul. Thou fillest my life as wine filleth a white glass bowl. Colourless, cold and thin, but for the wine therein. Can I say more to thee? Nay, there is naught to be said. Thine am I, living or dead. Thou art the all for me. Take but thy love away, I am but dead cold clay. Fear not my love binds thee. What is the earth to the sun? Is it his care that the sea lies dark when the day is done? Leave me, thou art most free. What is my love to thee? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Beautiful Land of Nod by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by Caveat. Come cuddle your head on my shoulder, dear, your head like the golden rod. We will go sailing away from here to the beautiful land of Nod. Away from life's hurry and flurry and worry, away from earth's shadows and gloom. To a world of fair weather we'll float off together, where roses are always in bloom. Just shut your eyes and fold your hands like the leaves of a rose. We will go sailing to those fair lands that never an atlas shows. On the north and the west they are bounded by rest, on the south and the east by dreams. 'Tis the country ideal where nothing is real, but everything only seems. Just drop down the curtains of your dear eyes, those eyes like a bright blue bell, and we will sail out under starlit skies to the land where the fairies dwell. Down the river of sleep our bark shall sweep till it reaches that mystical isle, where no man hath seen but where all have been, and there we will pause a while. I will croon you a song as we float along to that shore that is blessed of God. Then ho for that fair land, we're off for that rare land, that beautiful land of Nod. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Before the Fire by Meredith Nicholson. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. The winds go riding down the wold, and back the forest legions throw. A winter day the hours has told on rosaries of drops of snow. Through close-drawn blinds the lamplight falls, and on a drifted whiteness lies. Here within these cottage walls the flames make stars of babies' eyes. Rude fingers tap upon the pane, and entrance at the door demand. The Storm King and his lusty train go rushing o'er the land. But homes where love a vigil keeps know not that summer ever dies, know not that summer even sleeps, when flames make stars of babies' eyes. The father to the mother reads, the mother busy at his side. He reads a tale of noble deeds, of men who for a nation died. But oft they turn and fondly look upon the hero whom they prize, beyond the people of the book, where flames make stars of babies' eyes. Fierce winds may ride across the night, and storms prevail o'er flood and field, but where one lamp throws out its light, a happy picture is revealed, of two who by the fireside sit, and watch the glowing flames, while rise quick shadows that around them flit, and mock the stars in babies' eyes. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Before the Beginning of Years by Algernon Charles Swinburne. Read for LibriVox.org by Amina. Before the beginning of years, there came to the making of man time with a gift of tears, grief with a glass that ran, pleasure with painful leaven, summer with flowers that fell, remembrance fallen from heaven, and madness risen from hell, strength without hands to smite, love that endures for a breath, night the shadow of light, and life the shadow of death. And the high gods took in hand fire in the falling of tears, and a measure of sliding sand, and from under the feet of the ears, and froth and the drift of the sea, and dust of the laboring earth, and bodies of things to be, in the houses of death and of birth, and wrought with weeping and laughter, and fashioned with loathing and love, with life before and after, and death beneath and above, for a day and a night and a morrow, that his strength might endure for a span, with travail and heavy sorrow, the Holy Spirit of man. From the winds of the north and the south, they gathered as unto strife. They breathed upon his mouth, they filled his body with life. Eyesight and speech they wrought, for the veils of the soul therein. A time for labor and thought, a time to serve and to sin. They gave him light in his ways, and love and space for delight, and beauty and length of days, and night and sleep in the night. His speech is a burning fire, with his lips he travaileth, in his heart is a blind desire, in his eyes foreknowledge of death. He weaves and is clothed with derision, sows and he shall not reap. His life is a watch or a vision, between asleep and asleep. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Blow, Blow, Thou Winter Wind, by William Shakespeare. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Shemp. From As You Like It, Act 2, Scene 7. Blow, blow, thou winter wind, thou art not so unkind as man's ingratitude. Thy tooth is not so keen, because thou art not seen, although thy breath be rude. Hi-ho, sing hi-ho, unto the green holly, most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. Then hi-ho, the holly, this life is most jolly. Freeze, freeze, thou bitter sky, thou dost not bite so nigh as benefits forgot. Though thou the waters warp, thy sting is not so sharp as friend remembered not. Hi-ho, sing hi-ho, unto the green holly, most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. Then hi-ho, the holly, this life is most jolly. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Bonnie Prince o' Spring by Michael Earls. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Shemp. The little green soldiers are here at last, with their waving blades and spears, and across the hills they are marching fast, with the drill of 1,000 years. And I wave afar, and I shout hurrah, till I hear their echoing cheers. A bonny prince is at their head, and his love the legions know, for he gives them rest where the twigs are red at the hedges cool in a row. And afoot are they soon to a bird-like tune on the northward march to go. Oh, I am leal to the marching men, to my bonny prince I'm true, for he tells me the way to his tented glen, and the secret password too. And he sets in my hair a blossom to wear, like his own good horsemen do. Then I will follow on all the day, where the bonny prince has led, till we drive the winter foeman away, and throne my prince instead. And sing willaloo with the birds, willaloo, for the winter king is dead. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Brahma by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Read for LibriVox.org by VoiceOver Shy. If the red slayer think he slays, or if the slain think he is slain, they know not well the subtle ways I keep and pass and turn again. Far or forgot to me is near. Shadow and sunlight are the same. The vanished gods to me appear, and one to me are shame and fame. They reckon ill who leave me out. When me they fly, I am the wings. I am the doubter and the doubt. I am the hymn the Brahmin sings. The strong gods pine for my abode, and pine in vain the sacred seven. But thou, meek lover of the good, find me and turn thy back on heaven. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ceremony upon Candlemas Eve by Robert Herrick. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Shempf. Down with the rosemary, and so down with the bays and mistletoe, down with the holly, ivy, all wherewith ye dressed the Christmas hall, that so the superstitious find no one least branch there left behind. For look, how many leaves there be neglected there. Maids, trust to me, so many goblins you shall see. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Chrysalis by Walter S. Percy. Read for LibriVox.org by Vivint. Come out of your winter shell, old grub, of horns and crusty twist, and with your fellows' elbows rub, more like a humanist. A spiral armors very well for its eccentric curve, but not a gloomy hermit cell of cynical reserve. Come out of your winter shell, old slug, of dormant sense and soul. You're far too round and hard and smug. Your summer self unroll and show you've got some nature left that sprouts an airy wing. The man of hummus is bereft. He can't respond to spring. Come out of your winter shell, old worm, of wrapped up gossamer. If you would burst your scaly derm and let the spirit stir. For after all, for better things a man created is than lying with imprisoned wings, a half-dead chrysalis. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Concluding lines of a prize poem on hope by George Crabb, read for LibriVox.org by M. Lee. But above all the poet owns thy powers. Hope leads him on, and every fear devours. He writes, and unsuccessful writes again, nor thinks the last laborious work in vain. New schemes he forms, and various plots he tries, to win the laurel and possess the prize. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Darkling Thrush by Thomas Hardy, read for LibriVox.org by Patrick Wallace. I leant upon a coppice gate when frost was spectre grey, and winter's dregs made desolate the weakening eye of day.
The tangled vine stems scored the sky like strings from broken lyres, and all mankind that haunted nigh had sought their household fires. The land's sharp features seemed to be the century's corpse outlent, his crypt the cloudy canopy, the wind his death lament. The ancient pulse of germ and birth was shrunken hard and dry, and every spirit upon earth seemed fervorless as I. At once a voice outburst among the bleak twigs overhead in a full-hearted evensong of joy illimited. An aged thrush, frail, gaunt, and small, in blast-beruffled plume, had chosen thus to fling his soul upon the growing gloom. So little cause for carolings of such ecstatic sound was written on terrestrial things, afar or nigh around, that I could think there trembled through his happy good-night air some blessed hope, whereof he knew, and I was unaware. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dawn by George B. Logan, Jr. Read for LibriVox.org by Ike Sher. His radiant fingers so adorning earth that in silent joy she thrills. The ancient day stands every morning above the flowing eastern hills. This day the new-born world hath taken within his mantling arms of white, and sent her forth, by fear unshaken, to walk among the stars in light. Risen with laughter unto leaping, his feet untired, undimmed his eyes. The old, old day comes up from sleeping, fresh as a flower, for new emprise. Curtain of the night is parted, that once again the dawn may tread in spotless garments, ways uncharted, and death, a million times, is dead. Slow sleepless music robed in splendor, the deep sky sings eternally, with childlike wonderment to render its own unwearied symphony. Reborn between the great suns spinning forever where man's prayers ascend, God's day in love hath its beginning, and the beginning hath no end. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Disenchantment by Arthur Macy. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Time and I have fallen out, we who were such steadfast friends. So slowly has it come about that none may tell when it began. Yet sure am I, a cunning plan runs through it all. And now, beyond recall, our friendship ends. And ending there remains to me the memory of disloyalty. Long years ago, time tripping came, with promise grand, and sweet assurances of fame, and hand in hand through fairyland went he and I together, in bright and golden weather. Then I had not learned to doubt, for friends were gods, and faith was sure, and words were truth, and deeds were pure, before we had our falling out. And life, all hope, was fair to see, when time made promise sweet to me. When first my faithless friend grew cold, I sought to knit a closer bond, but he, less fond, sad days and years upon me rolled, pressed me with care, with envy tinged the boyhood hair, and plowed unwelcome furrows in where none had been. In vain I begged with trembling lip for our old sweet companionship, and saw mid prayers and tears devout the presage of our falling out. And now I know time has no friends, nor pity lends, but touches all with heavy finger soon or late. And as we wait the reaper's call, the sickle's fatal sweep, we strive in vain to keep one truth inviolate, one cherished fancy free from doubt. It was not so long years ago, before we had our falling out. If time would come again to me, and once more take me by the hand for golden walks through fairyland, I could forgive the treachery that stole my youth, and what of truth was mine to know. Nor would I more his love misdoubt, and I would throw my arms around him so that he'd forgive the falling out.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
An Evening by William Ailingham. Read for LibriVox.org by Lee Vogler. A sunset's mounted cloud, a diamond evening star, sad blue hills afar, love in his shroud, scarcely a tear to shed, hardly a word to say, the end of a summer day, sweet love dead. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Fairies by William Allingham. Read for LibriVox.org by Lee Vogler. Up the airy mountain, down the rushy glen, we daren't go a-hunting for fear of little men. Wee folk, good folk, trooping all together, green jacket, red cap, and white owl's feather. Down along the rocky shore some make their home. They live on crispy pancakes of yellow tide foam. Some in the reeds of the black mountain lake, with frogs for their watchdogs all night awake. High on the hilltop the old king sits. He is now so old and grey he's nigh lost his wits. With a bridge of white mist Columkill he crosses on his stately journeys from Slieve League to Ross's, or going up with music on cold starry nights to sup with the queen of the gay northern lights. They stole little Bridget for 7 years long. When she came down again her friends were all gone. They took her lightly back between the night and morrow. They thought she was asleep, but she was dead with sorrow. They have kept her ever since deep within the lake, on a bed of flag leaves, watching till she wake. By the craggy hillside, through the mosses bare, they have planted thorn trees for pleasure here and there. Is any man so daring as dig them up in spite? He shall find the thornies set in his bed at night. Up the airy mountain, down the rushy glen, we daren't go a-hunting for fear of little men. Wee folk, good folk, trooping all together, green jacket, red cap, and white owl's feather. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Friendship After Love by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by Caveat. After the fierce midsummer all ablaze has burned itself to ashes and expires in the intensity of its own fires, there comes the mellow, mild St. Martin days, crowned with the calm of peace, but sad with haze. So after love has led us till he tires of his own throes and torments and desires, comes large-eyed friendship with a restful gaze. he beckons us to follow, and across cool, verdant vales we wander free from care. Is that a touch of frost lies in the air? Why are we haunted with the sense of loss? We do not wish the pain back or the heat. And yet, these days are incomplete. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Good Night by Carl Sandburg. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Many ways to spell good night. Fireworks that appear on the 4th of July spell it with red wheels and yellow spokes. They fizz in the air, touch the water, and quit. Rockets make a trajectory of gold and blue and then go out. Railroad trains at night spell with a smokestack mushrooming a white pillar. Steamboats turn a curve in the Mississippi, crying in a baritone that crosses lowland cotton fields to a razorback hill. It is easy to spell good night. Many ways to spell good night. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Half Waking by William Allingham. Read for LibriVox.org by Lee Vogler. I thought it was the little bed I slept in long ago, a straight white curtain at the head and 2 smooth knobs below. I thought I saw the nursery fire, and in a chair well known my mother sat and did not tire with reading all alone. If I should make the slightest sound to show that I'm awake, she'd rise and lap the blankets round my pillows softly shake, kiss me and turn my face to see the shadows on the wall, and then sing Rousseau's Dream to me till fast asleep I fall. But this is not my little bed, that time is far away. With strangers now I live instead, from dreary day to day. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Hymn by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Ben Gill. O God of earth and altar, bow down and hear our cry. Our earthly rulers falter, our people drift and die. The walls of gold entomb us, the swords of scorn divide. Take not thy thunder from us, but take away our pride. From all that terror teaches, from lies of tongue and pen, from all the easy speeches that comfort cruel men. For sale and profanation, of honor and the sword, from sleep and from damnation, deliver us, good Lord. Tie in a living tether the prince and priest and thrall. Bind all our lives together. Smite us and save us all. In ire and exultation, aflame with faith and free, lift up a living nation, a single sword to thee. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Have No Life But This by Emily Dickinson. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. I have no life but this, to lead it here, nor any death but lest dispelled from there, nor tie to earth's to come, nor action new, except through this extent, the realm of you. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Is It I by Warwick S. Price. Read for LibriVox.org by M. Lee. Where is the man who has not said, at evening when he went to bed, I'll waken with the crowing cock and get to work by 6 o'clock? Where is the man who, rather late, crawls out of bed at 8:30, that has not thought with fond regard, it's better not to work too hard? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. Read for LibriVox.org by Marianne Stone. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Would I Were a Careless Child by Lord Byron. Read for LibriVox.org by Richa. I would I were a careless child, still dwelling in my highland cave, or roaming through the dusky wild, or bounding over the dark blue wave. The cumbrous pomp of Saxon pride accords not with the free-born soul, which loves the mountain's craggy side, and seeks the rocks where billows roll. Fortune, take back these cultured lands, take back this name of splendid sound. I hate the touch of servile hands, I hate the slaves that cringe around. Place me among the rocks I love, which sound to ocean's wildest roar. I ask but this, again to rove through scenes my youth hath known before. Few are my years, and yet I feel the world was never designed for me. Ah, why do darkening shades conceal the hour when men must cease to be? Once I beheld a splendid dream, a visionary scene of bliss. Truth, wherefore did thy hated beam awake me to a world like this? I loved, but those I loved are gone, had friends, my early friends are fled. How cheerless feels the heart alone, when all its former hopes are dead. The gay companions over the bowl dispel awhile the sense of ill, though pleasure stirs the maddening soul, the heart is lonely still. How dull to hear the voice of those whom rank or chance, whom wealth or power have made, though neither friends nor foes, associates of the festive hour. Give me again a faithful few, in years and feelings still the same, and I will fly the midnight crew where boisterous joy is but a name. And women, my lovely woman, thou, my hope, my comforter, my all, how cold must be my bosom now, when even thy smiles begin to pall. Without a sigh I would resign this busy scene of splendid woe, to make that calm contentment mine, which virtue knows or seems to know. Fain would I fly the haunts of men, I seek to shun, not hate mankind. My breast requires the sullen glen, whose gloom may suit a darkened mind. Oh, that to me the wings were given, which bear the turtle to her nest! Then would I cleave the vault of heaven, to flee away and be at rest. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Jester Condemned to Death by Horace Smith. Read for LibriVox.org by Terry Cronin. One of the kings of Scandaroon a royal jester had in his train, a gross buffoon who used to pester the court with tricks inopportune, venting on the highest folks his scurvy pleasantries and hoaxes. It needs some sense to play the fool, which wholesome rule occurred not to our jackanapes, who consequently found his freaks lead to innumerable scrapes, and quite as many tricks and tweaks which only seem to make him faster try the patience of his master. Some sin at last, beyond all measure, incurred the desperate displeasure of his serene and raging highness. Whether he twitched his most revered and sacred beard, or had intruded on the shyness of the seraglio, or let fly an epigram at royalty, none knows. His sin was an occult one, but records tell us that the Sultan, meaning to terrify the knave, exclaimed, "'Tis time to stop that breath. Thy doom is sealed, presumptuous slave. Thou standst condemned to certain death. Silence, base rebel, no replying. But such is my indulgence still, that, of my own free grace and will, I leave to thee the mode of dying." "Thy royal will be done, 'tis just," replied the wretch, and kissed the dust. "Since my last moment to assuage your majesty's humane decree has deigned to leave the choice to me, I'll die, so please you, of old age." This is the end of The Jester Condemned to Death. This recording is in the public domain.
La Belle Dame Sans Merci by John Keats. Read for LibriVox.org by Amina. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, alone and palely loitering? The sedge has withered from the lake, and no birds sing. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, so haggard and so woe begone? The squirrel's granary is full, and the harvest's done. I see a lily on thy brow, with anguish moist and fever dew, and on thy cheeks a fading rose, fast withereth too. I met a lady in the meads, full beautiful, a fairy's child. Her hair was long, her foot was light, and her eyes were wild. I made a garland for her head, and bracelets too, and fragrant zone. She looked at me as she did love, and made sweet moan. I set her on my pacing steed, and nothing else saw all day long, for sidelong would she bend and sing a fairy's song. She found me roots of relish sweet, and honey wild, and manna dew. And sure in language strange she said, I love thee true. She took me to her elfin grot, and there she wept and sighed full sore. And there I shut her wild, wild eyes with kisses for. And there she lulled me asleep, and there I dreamed, ah, woe betide, the latest dream I ever dreamed, on the cold hill's side. I saw pale kings and princes too, pale warriors, death pale were they all. They cried, La Belle Dame Sans Merci hath thee in thrall. I saw their starved lips in the gloam with horrid warning gaped wide, and I awoke and found me here on the cold hill's side. And this is why I sojourn here, alone and palely loitering, though the sedge is withered from the lake, and no birds sing. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Lake Isle of Innisfree by William Butler Yeats. Read for LibriVox.org by Ben Gill. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there, of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. While I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's gray, I hear it in the deep heart's core. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Lines written at a small distance from my house and sent by my little boy to the person to whom they are addressed, by William Wordsworth. Read for LibriVox.org by Nuria. It is the first mild day of March, each minute sweeter than before. The redbreast sings from the tall larch that stands beside our door. There is a blessing in the air, which seems a sense of joy to yield to the bare trees and mountains bare, and grass in the green field. My sister, 'tis a wish of mine, now that our morning meal is done, make haste, your morning task resign, come forth and feel the sun. Edward will come with you and pray, put on with speed your woodland dress, and bring no book for this one day we'll give to idleness. No joyless forms shall regulate our living calendar, we from today, my friend, will date the opening of the year. Love, now in universal birth, from heart to heart is dealing, from earth to man, from man to earth, it is the hour of feeling. One moment now may give us more than 50 years of reason. Our minds shall drink at every pore the spirit of the season. Some silent laws our hearts may make, which they shall long obey. We for the year to come may take our temper from today. And from the blessed power that rolls about, below, above, we'll frame the measure of our souls, they shall be turned to love. Then come, my sister, come, I pray, with speed put on your woodland dress, and bring no book, for this one day we'll give to idleness. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Lines written in Gallipoli by Patrick Shaw Stewart. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgate Novelist. I saw a man this morning who did not wish to die. I ask and cannot answer, if otherwise wish I. Fair broke the day this morning against the Dardanelles. The breeze blew soft, the morn's cheeks were cold as cold sea shells. But other shells are waiting across the Aegean Sea, shrapnel and high explosive, shells and hells for me. Oh, hell of ships and cities, hell of men like me, fatal second Helen, why must I follow thee? Achilles came to Troyland, and I to Chersonese. He turned from wrath to battle, and I from 3 days' peace. Was it so hard, Achilles, so very hard to die? Thou knowest and I know not, so much the happier I. I will go back this morning, from Imbros over the sea. Stand in the trench, Achilles, flame-capped, and shout for me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Mandalay by Rudyard Kipling, read for LibriVox.org by Peter Yearsley. By the old Moulmein Pagoda, looking eastward to the sea, there's a Burma girl a-settin', and I know she thinks of me. For the wind is in the palm trees, and the temple bells, they say, "Come you back, you British soldier, come you back to Mandalay. Come you back to Mandalay, where the old flotilla lay. Can't you hear their paddles chunking from Rangoon to Mandalay? On the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play, and the dawn comes up like thunder out of China across the bay. Her petticoat was yaller, and her little cap was green, and her name was Supiolat, just the same as the Boer's queen. And I seed her first a-smoking of a whacking white cheroot, and a-wasting Christian kisses on an heathen idol's foot. Bloomin' idol made of mud, what they called the great gourd bud. Plucky lot she cared for idols when I kissed her where she stood on the road to Mandalay. When the mist was on the rice fields and the sun was dropping slow, she'd git her little banjo and she'd sing Kala-la-lo. With her arm upon my shoulder and her cheek agin my cheek, we used to watch the steamers and the hathies pilin' teak. Elephants a-pilin' teak in the sludgy, squidgy creek, where the silence hung that heavy you was half afraid to speak, on the road to Mandalay. But that's all shoved behind me long ago and fur away, and there ain't no buses running from the bank to Mandalay. And I'm learning here in London what the 10-year soldier tells: if you've heard the East a-calling, you won't never heed naught else. No, you won't heed nothing else but them spicy garlic smells, and the sunshine and the palm trees and the tinkly temple bells on the road to Mandalay. I am sick of wasting leather on these gritty paving stones, and the blasted English drizzle wakes the fever in my bones. Though I walks with 50 housemaids out of Chelsea to the Strand, and they talks a lot o' loving, but what do they understand? Beefy face and grubby hand, Lor, what do they understand? I've a neater, sweeter maiden in a cleaner, greener land, on the road to Mandalay. Ship me somewheres east of Suez, where the best is like the worst, where there ain't no 10 commandments, and a man can raise a thirst, for the temple bells are calling, and it's there that I would be, by the old Moulmein Pagoda, looking lazy at the sea, on the road to Mandalay, where the old flotilla lay, with our sick beneath the awnings when we went to Mandalay, on the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play, and the dawn comes up like thunder out of China across the bay. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Miracles by Walt Whitman. Read for LibriVox.org by Richa. Why? Who makes much of a miracle? As to me, I know of nothing else but miracles. Whether I walk the streets of Manhattan, or dart my side over the roofs of houses toward the sky, or wade with naked feet along the beach just in the edge of the water, or stand under trees in the woods, or talk by day with anyone I love, or sleep in the bed at night with anyone I love, or sit at table at dinner with the rest, or look at strangers opposite me riding in the car, or watch honey bees busy around the hive of a summer forenoon, or animals feeding in the fields, or birds, or the wonderfulness of insects in the air, or the wonderfulness of the sundown, or of stars shining so quiet and bright, or the exquisite, delicate, thin curve of the new moon in spring. These with the rest, one and all, are to me miracles, the whole referring, yet each distinct and in its place. To me, every hour of the light and dark is a miracle. Every cubic inch of space is a miracle. Every square yard of the surface of the earth is spread with the same. Every foot of the interior swarms with the same. To me, the sea is a continual miracle. The fishes that swim, the rocks, the motion of the waves, the ships with the men in them, what stranger miracles are there? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Nemesis by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Read for LibriVox.org by Voice Over Shy. Already blushes in thy cheek the bosom thought which thou must speak. The bird, how far it haply roam by cloud or isle, is flying home. The maiden fears and fearing runs into the charmed snare she shuns, and every man in love or pride of his fate is never wide. Will a woman's fan the ocean smooth, or prayers the stony Parsee soothe, or coax the thunder from its mark, or tapers light the chaos dark? In spite of virtue and the muse, Nemesis will have her dues. In all our struggles and our toils, tighter wind the giant coils. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
One Night by Juan Ramon Jimenez. Translation by Thomas Walsh. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. The ancient spiders with a flutter spread their misty marvels through the withered flowers. The windows by the moonlight pierced would shed their trembling garlands pale across the bowers. The balconies looked over to the south. The night was one immortal and serene. From fields afar the newborn springtime's mouth wafted a breath of sweetness o'er the scene. How silent! Grief had hushed its spectral moan among the shadowy roses of the sward. Love was a fable. Shadows overthrown trooped back in myriads from oblivion's ward. The garden's voice was all. Empires had died, the azure stars and languor, having known the sorrows all the centuries provide, with silver crowned me there, remote and lone. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
On My First Son by Ben Jonson. Read for LibriVox.org by Terry Cronin. Farewell, thou child of my right hand and joy. My sin was too much hope of thee, loved boy. 7 years thou wert lent to me, and I thee pay, exacted by thy fate, on the just day. Oh, could I lose all father now! For why will man lament the state he should envy, to have so soon scaped worlds and flesh's rage, and if no other misery, yet age? Rest in soft peace, and ask, say, here doth lie Ben Jonson his best piece of poetry, for whose sake henceforth all his vows be such as what he loves may never like too much. End of the poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Passionate Shepherd to His Love by Christopher Marlowe. Read for LibriVox.org by Marianne Stone. The Passionate Shepherd to His Love. Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures prove that valleys, groves, hills and fields, woods or steepy mountain yields. And we will sit upon the rocks, seeing the shepherds feed their flocks by shallow rivers to whose falls melodious birds sing madrigals. And I will make thee beds of roses and 1,000 fragrant posies, a cap of flowers and a kirtle, embroidered all with leaves of myrtle, a gown made of the finest wool, which from our pretty lambs we pull, fair lined slippers for the cold, with buckles of the purest gold, a belt of straw and ivy buds, with coral clasps and amber studs. And if these pleasures may thee move, come live with me and be my love. The shepherd swains shall dance and sing for thy delight each May morning. If these delights thy mind may move, then live with me and be my love. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
This is a poem entitled Peep of Dawn by Walter S. Percy. Read for LibriVox.org by B. Vince. The tally-ho of slumber is on, the last relay of dreams. Post-haste it rides with ribbons dawn over curveting gray teams. The wayside house just left behind was where the cock crew in. The road ahead with roses lined and Noah's work to win. Intoxicated senses sink in visions of delight, and Venus' eye begins to wink where it outrides the night. Sly fingers lift the window shades, but our espied are gone, and on the drowsy milking maze tiptoes the peep of dawn. Dame Nature in abandon lies with skirts in disarray, and overtaken with surprise is kissed by stealthy day. The coverts rub their eyes and wake, and dreaming love anon goes forth on rosy road to make a tryst with peep of dawn. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Pink Dominoes by Rudyard Kipling. Read for LibriVox.org by Andrea Atwood. They are fools who kiss and tell. Wisely has the poet sung. Man may hold all sorts of posts, if he'll only hold his tongue. Jenny and me were engaged, you see, on the eve of the fancy ball. So a kiss or two was nothing to you, or anyone else at all. Jenny would go in a domino, pretty and pink but warm, while I attended, clad in a splendid Austrian uniform. Now we had arranged, through notes exchanged, early that afternoon, at number 4, to waltz no more, but to sit in the dusk and spoon. When 3 was over, an eager lover, I fled to the gloom outside, and a domino came out also, whom I took for my future bride. That is to say, in a casual way, I slipped my arm around her, with a kiss or two, which is nothing to you, and ready to kiss I found her. She turned her head, and the name she said was certainly not my own, but ere I could speak, with a smothered shriek, she fled and left me alone. Then Jenny came, and I saw with shame she'd doffed her domino, and I had embraced an alien waist, but I did not tell her so. Next morn I knew that there were 2 dominoes pink, and one had cloaked the spouse of Sir Julian House, our big political gun. Sir J. was old, and her hair was gold, and her eye was a blue cerulean, and the name she said when she turned her head was not in the least like Julian. Now wasn't it nice, when want of pice forbade us twain to marry, that old Sir J. in the kindest way made me his secretary? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Pobble Who Has No Toes by Edward Lear. Read for LibriVox.org by Jake Warrad. The Pobble Who Has No Toes. The Pobble who has no toes had once as many as we. When they said, "Some day you may lose them all," He replied, "Fish fiddle-dee-dee," and his Aunt Jobiska made him a drink, lavender water tinged with pink, for she said, "The world in general knows there's nothing so good for a pobble's toes." The pobble who has no toes swam across the Bristol Channel, but before he set out he wrapped his nose in a piece of scarlet flannel, for his Aunt Jobiska said, "No harm can come to his toes if his nose is warm, and it's perfectly known that a pobble's toes are safe, provided he minds his nose." The pobble swam fast and well, and when boats and ships came near him, he tinkledy-blinkledy-winkled a bell so that all the world could hear him. And all the sailors and admirals cried, when they saw him nearing the further side, "He's gone to fish for his Aunt Jobiska's runcible cat with crimson whiskers." But before he reached the shore of the Bristol Channel, a sea-green porpoise carried away his wrapper of scarlet flannel, and when he came to observe his feet, formerly garnished with toes so neat, his face at once became forlorn on perceiving that all his toes were gone. And nobody ever knew, from that dark day to the present, whosoever had taken the pobble's toes in a manner so far from pleasant. Whether the shrimps or crawfish grey, or crafty mermaids stole them away, nobody knew and nobody knows how the pobble was robbed of his twice 5 toes. The pobble who has no toes was placed in a friendly bark, and they rowed him back and carried him up to his Aunt Jobiska's park, and she made him a feast at his earnest wish, of eggs and buttercups fried with fish. And she said, "It's a fact the whole world knows, that pobbles are happier without their toes." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Poor Man's Daily Bread by Dennis A. McCarthy. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Not only there where jeweled vestments blaze, and princely prelates bow before thy shrine, where myriads line the swept and garnished ways, through which is born thy majesty divine, O Jesus of the ever-loving heart, not only there thou art, but where the lowliest church its cross uplifts above the city's sordidness and sin, where all unheeded human wreckage drifts and drowns amid the foulness and the din. There too, anear the very gates of hell, O Saviour, dost thou dwell. O meet it is that round thy altar thrones the highest priest should ministering throng, with silken robe, with gold and precious stones, with solemn chant and loud triumphant song. What beauty that the world could give would be too beautiful for thee. And yet to those that work with grimy hands and sweaty brows in ditches and in drains, thou comest with a love that understands their labor ill requited and their pains. Who knows so well as thou what they endure, O Father of the poor? And so, deep hid in many a city street, or far where lonely workers break the soil, are shrines where thou the merciful dost meet, in love's embrace the weary ones that toil. For them thy hospitable board is spread, with thee, thy very self, their daily bread. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Prayer for Indifference by Fanny Greville. Read for LibriVox.org by M. Lee. I ask no kind return of love, no tempting charm to please. Far from the heart those gifts remove that sighs for peace and ease. Nor peace nor ease the heart can know, that like the needle true turns at the touch of joy or woe, but turning trembles too. Far as distress the soul can wound, 'tis pain in each degree, 'tis bliss but to a certain bound, beyond is agony. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Rilly River by Walter S. Percy. read for LibriVox.org by B. Vince. The cold and turbid flood of spring has melted to the summer shallow, and now the vivid greeneries cling along the margin lush and fallow, and where were somber deeps and chills are silver trills of rippling rills. The loiterer upon the bridge, which over the eddying river poises, salutes the island's sandy ridge that reappears. The eye rejoices in all the old familiar frills and saucy spills of rippling rills. The rod and reel the rapture feel, and from the boat take finny chances, but less for luck than with the keel, to be a part of runic dances. For thus the river's music thrills, like joy that fills the rippling rills. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Snowman by Wallace Stevens. Read for LibriVox.org by Ben Gill. One must have a mind of winter to regard the frost in the boughs of the pine trees crusted with snow, and have been cold a long time to behold the junipers shagged with ice, the spruces rough in the distant glitter of the January sun, and not to think of any misery in the sound of the wind, in the sound of a few leaves, which is the sound of the land full of the same wind that is blowing the same bare place for the listener, who listens in the snow, and, nothing himself, beholds nothing that is not there, and the nothing that is. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Solitude by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by Marianne Stone. Solitude. Laugh, and the world laughs with you. Weep, and you weep alone. For the sad old earth must borrow its mirth, but has trouble enough of its own. Sing, and the hills will answer. Sigh, it is lost on the air. The echoes bound to a joyful sound, but shrink from voicing care. Rejoice, and men will seek you. Grieve, and they turn and go. They want full measure of all your pleasure, but they do not need your woe. Be glad, and your friends are many. Be sad, and you lose them all. There are none to decline your nectared wine, but alone you must drink life's gall. Feast, and your halls are crowded. Fast, and the world goes by. Succeed and give, and it helps you live, but no man can help you die. There is room in the halls of pleasure for a large and lordly train, but one by one we must all file on through the narrow aisles of pain. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Song for the Seasons by Brian Waller Proctor. Read for LibriVox.org by Ike Scher. When the merry lark doth gild with his song the summer hours, and the nests the swallows build in the roofs and tops of towers, and the golden broom-flower burns all about the waste, and the maiden May returns with a pretty haste, then how merry are the times, the spring times, the summer times. Now from off the ashy stone the chilly midnight cricket crieth, and all merry birds are flown, and our dream of pleasure dieth. Now the once blue, laughing sky saddens into grey, and the frozen rivers sigh, pining all away. Now how solemn are the times, the winter times, the night times. Yet be merry, all around is through one vast change revolving. Even night, who lately frowned, is in paler dawn dissolving. Earth will burst her fetters strange, and in spring grow free. All things in the world will change, save my love for thee. Sing then, hopeful are all times, winter, spring, summer times. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sonnet 29 by William Shakespeare. Read for LibriVox.org by Terry Cronin. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy, contented least. Yet in these thoughts, myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from solid earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. This is the end of the poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Summer Nocturne by Alice Hungerford. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgate Novelist. Night gave to thee thy shadowy hair, the starshine brightens in thine eyes, the languid sweetness of the dusk pervades thy soft replies. The mystery of summer night is in thy lightest action shown, hinting of sweet and subtle things known but to thee alone. Thine arms are as a longed for rest, coming when day is done, to lie at peace upon thy breast, his shadow after sun. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Today by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Read for LibriVox.org by Voice Over Shy. I rake no coffined clay, nor publish wide the resurrection of departed pride. Safe in their ancient crannies, dark and deep, let kings and conquerors, saints and soldiers sleep. Late, in the world too late, perchance for fame, just late enough to reap abundant blame. I choose a novel theme, a bold abuse of critic charters, an unlaureled muse. Old moldy men and books and names and lands disgust my reason and defile my hands. I had as lief respect an ancient shoe, as love old things for age and hate the new. I spurn the past, my mind disdains its nod, nor kneels in homage to so mean a god. I laugh at those who, while they gape and gaze, the bald antiquity of China praise. Youth is, whatever cynic tubs pretend, the fault that boys and nations soonest mend. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
"2K" by Sarah Bard Field. Read for LibriVox.org by Michael McTaggart. Midland, Washington. A shy, deep stream of somber water, little daughter, not the surface skimming brook running where all others look, or frankly spilling out your soul into the overflowing bowl. No, for you a darker gliding, through cavern gloom, under fossil foliage hiding where buried gardens bloom, and ancient roots in wide-coiled rings multiply your wanderings. By what veiled lips were you taught the muffled music of your thought, murmurous, musing, half aloud, a star that wanders under cloud with a softly humming sound of running shadow underground? Often, though close, I lay my ear against the earth I cannot hear, where the waters disappear. All is silence, none is meant to know the ultimate descent, reaching with inaudible tone, secret strata all their own. See, a silver-bladed spray, flashing upward, cuts the day, and falls back to a quiet pool medicinal and sweet and cool. Dust dry, salt-eyed, I found it there, with nightshade fringed and maidenhair. I drank the healing of the water, little daughter, little daughter. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. To S.A. by T.E. Lawrence. Read by Michael McTaggart, Midland, Washington. I loved you. So I drew these tides of men into my hands and wrote my will across the sky in stars to earn you freedom, the seven-pillared worthy house, that your eyes might be shining for me when we came. Death seemed my servant on the road till we were near and saw you waiting. When you smiled, and in sorrowful envy he outran me and took you apart into his quietness. Love, the way-weary, groped to your body, our brief wage ours for the moment, before earth's soft hand explored your shape, and the blind worms grew fat upon your substance. Men prayed me that I set our work, the inviolate house, as a memory of you, but for fit monument I shattered it, unfinished, and now the little things creep out to patch themselves hovels in the marred shadow of your gift. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Turn of the Year by Catherine Tynan Hinkson. Read for LibriVox.org by Ike Scher. This is the time when bit by bit the days begin to lengthen sweet, and every minute gained is joy, and love stirs in the heart of a boy. This is the time the son of late, content to lie abed till 8, lifts up betimes his sleepy head, and love stirs in the heart of a maid. This is the time we dock the night of a whole hour of candlelight, when song of linnet and thrush is heard, and love stirs in the heart of a bird. This is the time when sword blades green with gold and purple damascene pierce the brown crocus bed arow, and love stirs in a heart I know. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Various Valentines by Arthur Macy. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. 1. From a Bibliophile. Like some choice book thou art to me, bound all so daintily, and 'neath the covers fair are contents true and rare. Ne would I look, ne read in any other book, if I belike could find therein the chart, and indice to thy heart. The great wise author made but one of this edition, then was done, and were this only copy mine, then would I write therein my Valentine. 2. from an inconstant constant. After Henri Murger. Though I love many maidens fair, as fondly as a heart may dare, yet still are you the only one, true goddess of my pantheon. And though my life is like a song, each made a stanza, clear and strong, yet always I return again to you who are the sweet refrain. 3. From a commercial lover. If I were but a syndicate, and love were merchandise, I'd buy it at the market rate, and hold it for a rise. And should the price of all this love bound upward like a ball, and reach 1,000 or above, still you should have it all. 4. From an uncertain marksman. I send you 2 kisses wrapped up in a rhyme. From love's warm abysses I send you 2 kisses. If one of them misses, please wait till next time, and I'll send you 3 kisses wrapped up in a rhyme. 5. From a conchologist. Were I a murmuring ocean shell pressed close against your ear, my constant whisperings would tell a story sweet to hear. I'd make the message from the sea love's tidings on the shore, and I would woo with words so true that you could ask no more. So if some silver nautilus lay close beside your cheek, and you should hear a language dear unto the heart I seek, you'll know within the simple shell that murmurs o'er and o'er, I send to you a love more true than e'er was breathed before. 6. From a hyperbolist. Take all the love that e'er was told since first the world began, increase it 20,000-fold, if mathematics can. Add all the love the world shall see, till Gabriel's final call, and when compared with mine, 'twill be infinitesimal.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Which Are You? By Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by Richa. There are 2 kinds of people on earth today. Just 2 kinds of people, no more I say. Not the sinner and saint, for it's well understood the good are half bad, and the bad are half good. Not the rich and the poor, for to rate a man's wealth, you must first know the state of his conscience and health. Not the humble and proud, for in life's little span, who puts on vain airs is not counted a man. Not the happy and sad, for the swift flying years bring each man his laughter and each man his tears. No, the 2 kinds of people on earth, I mean, are the people who lift and the people who lean. Wherever you go, you will find the earth's masses are always divided in just these 2 classes, and oddly enough you will find too, I ween, there's only 1 lifter to 20 who lean. In which class are you? Are you easing the load of overtaxed lifters who toil down the road? Or are you a leaner who lets others share your portion of labor and worry and care? End of the poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Wild Flowers by Sarah Bard Field. Read for LibriVox.org by Michael McTaggart, Midland, Washington. No surveyor marks your plot, country road or city lot. No judge, no precedent of law, if your title has a flaw. A sudden fall or flight of seeds caught among the withered weeds, and all the future days and nights you hold fast to squatters' rights. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Will by Giordano Bruno, 1548 to 1600. Translated by Colson Turnbull. Read for LibriVox.org. The Will. The captain calls his warriors to arms, and at the trumpet sound they all under one sign and standard come. But yet for some in vain the call is heard. Heedless and unprepared, they mind it not. One foe he kills, and the insane unborn he banishes from out the camp in scorn. And thus the soul, when foiled her high designs, would have all those opponents dead or gone. One object only I regard, one face alone my mind does fill. One beauty keeps me fixed and still, one arrow pierced my heart, and one the fire with which alone I burn, and toward one paradise I turn. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Worm Will Turn by Arthur Macy. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. I'm a gentle, meek, and patient human worm, unattractive, rather active, with a sense of right, original but firm. I was taught to be forgiving, for my enemies to pray. But what's the use of living if you never can repay all the little animosities that in your bosom burn? Oh, it's pleasant to remember that the worm will turn. I'm so gentle, and so patient, and so meek, unpretending, unoffending. But if perchance you smite me on the cheek, I will never turn the other, as I was taught to do by a Puritanic mother, whose theology was blue. Your experience will widen when explicitly you learn how a modest, mild, submissive little worm will turn. I'm so subtle, and so crafty, and so sly. I am humble, but I tumble to the slightest oscillation of the eye. When others think they're winning a fabulous amount, then I do a little sinning on my personal account, and in my quiet, simple way a modest stipend earn, as they slowly grasp the bitter fact that worms will turn. Oh, human worms are curious little things, inoffensive, rather pensive, till it comes to using little human stings. Oh, then avoid intrusion if you would be discreet, and cultivate seclusion in an underground retreat. And whenever you are tempted the lowly worm to spurn, just bear in mind that little line, the worm will turn.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.